Today's episode, Mom Burnout, we are going to discuss my personal experiences with mom burnout and just sharing some of my stories and ways that I've been trying to help myself overcome mom burnout because let me tell you, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm I'm trying to put this smile on my face right now, but I'm tired, okay? That's just being real. Welcome back. I'm your host, Courtney, and if you're new here, welcome to the Occasionally Social Podcast. Being a mom can be the most rewarding experience in life, but let's be honest, it can be the most challenging at the same time. From the demands of parenthood, work life, and daily life, just feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and burnt out can easily happen. So, in today's episode, Mom Burnout, we are going to discuss my personal experiences with mom burnout and just sharing some of my stories and ways that I've been trying to help myself overcome mom burnout because let me tell you, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm I'm trying to put this smile on my face right now, but I'm tired, okay? That's just being real. So I do have my little notes today on my phone just to help me out, keep me on task. So I'm hoping that by me sharing my personal experiences and my story that can help some inspiration to other moms out there that you're not feeling this alone and it's okay to feel this. And we're going to get through it. That's the main thing. So, what exactly is mom burnout? Well, for me, it's feeling exhausted, just tired all the time. Even if I can get a full night's sleep, I'm still feeling tired. Like it just feels like there's like it's an ongoing cycle of feeling this exhaustion and then feeling irritable, just being short tempered lately about everything that might be going on around me. Occurs when mothers experience long-term physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion from overwhelming demands of parenting. Symptoms of mom burnout can be including feeling exhausted, irritability, anxiety, and depression. And mothers experiencing burnout may also have difficulty sleeping, lack of motivation or energy, and feel a sense of detachment from their children or their family. And some of these symptoms really hit home for me because I'm feeling that way and I was feeling that way, like lack of motivation or energy, like avoiding things that could stress me out, just blocking out things that need to be done, but just feeling overwhelmed and not wanting to do them. So feeling that sense of detachment from family and friends that can hit home for me as well because just avoiding people sometimes when I don't want to avoid them, just pushing people away is not the way to go, but sometimes that happens. But the good news is that mom burnout is not a permanent state, and that with the right strategies and support, we can overcome this feeling and start feeling like ourselves again. And I feel like it's important to talk about this topic because a lot of people don't like to really express it to other people, other mothers, other women, their spouse, or anybody because they're feeling like, dang, I'm not doing enough. I shouldn't feel this way. I'm a mother. I'm supposed to be strong. All of that. And I feel like it's overlooked and it's dismissed a lot, especially for mothers. And that can go as far as, like, even for an example, postpartum. Like, I know those two are not the same conditions, but sometimes people overlook postpartum, like, oh, this is what you signed up for. Oh, you'll be okay. It'll be all right. Stop crying about it. This is what you signed up for. And I feel like that's just not fair. And I feel like mom burnout can also feel that way because when expressing it, people kind of like look at you like, why don't you have it together? It is hard to have it together. And I feel like on the outside, I feel like I have this guard of looking like I have it together. And half the time, I don't have it together, but I have to keep this front on just so that I can get through the day, get things done for me and my kids. And I just feel like if we had more of an open discussion about it to help mothers, recognize those signs of mom burnout or feeling very, stressed or overwhelmed, and understanding its causes and learn the effective strategies, I feel like that will help to manage it and to prevent it. And just working on having a more supportive culture for mothers and reducing the stigma of that is associated with asking for help, because I feel like when we ask for help, people just look at us like we're a bad mom, or just give us some kind of look like, why do you need help? You should have it. You look like you got it all together, when half the time we might not have it all together. So just giving that supportive, like, space for people to be able to talk to one another and being able to express how they're feeling, I feel like that's what I'm working towards. And so let's get into the symptoms and the signs of mom burnout. And like I previously stated in the definition of mom burnout, here are some common signs: chronic fatigue and exhaustion, irritability and impatience. And that can go towards, just irritability of like work, your day-to-day life, something with your kids. It might not even be that big, but it just might have just, you're just impatient now, like, because you just don't have enough of that. Like, I feel like I am the queen of patience, and some of my friends and family don't understand how I have it. And like, now that it's like the patience is running dry, that well is running dry. It just, I want to get to that place where I'm back to being more patient and understanding, like with myself and with my kids. And another symptom is like difficulty of sleeping. It could be the opposite for a mother. Like, some mothers might sleep more. Because me, I sometimes shut things out and I just go to sleep when that should not be the thing I should be doing. Just not having the energy for it. And then some mothers or people, have a difficulty sleeping, can't sleep, insomnia, and the loss of enjoyment in things that you love, which for me, I love creating content. I've stated that before in majority of all my episodes on my podcast, that there was a time frame where I wasn't posting, there wasn't me creating anything, and just feeling like I just don't have the energy to create nothing, edit anything. And I love doing those things. And just, I feel like now that I'm trying to step towards overcoming this burnout, like I'm getting back into creating content, getting back into wanting to put things out, wanting to share things with others. So that's one of the things that I'm doing for myself. And then neglecting your own self-care. And I feel like I talk about self-care like every episode, but like I didn't realize how much important it is. And that is why, like, this year, 2023, as one of my main priorities is my self-care and stopping the neglection of it, and just trying to get like a good night's sleep, trying to have that work-life balance of getting off my work computer on time so that I can be able to shut down and wind down properly. And some of the causes of mom burnout can be, the lack of self-care, the work-life balance that I just stated, and then the support. So like, if you don't have your village, like, that is like a hard thing to have, like, that support. So like, creating your village, like, make sure you check out my episode 7, It Really Takes a Village, just talking about, creating your own village. If you don't have friends and family, or just family, immediate family that you can go to, like, your friends can be your village, the parents of your kids, like, be in a community, your neighbors, mentors, teachers, therapists, those can all be a part of your village. And as many of us know, being a mom is rewarding but challenging, and it can easily be overwhelmed and feeling that burnout. The lack of self-care, of like putting it in your daily routine, maintaining that work-life balance which I would say is hard for me because I work from home now. Well, I'm hybrid, but majority of the time I'm working from home and just needing to adjust to how it used to be when we worked full time in the office. Like you go to work at 7, you leave at 3:30, and you leave work at work. But when you work from home, your work is at home, so like it can be meshed in and overlapped to where you're like, oh, let me just work an extra 2 more hours today just so that I can get some more stuff done. When if you was at the work office, you would not be able to do that. So just trying to find that better work life balance, because sometimes I don't get off the computer until really late, and then by the time I get off I'm tired and I don't want to do anything else, and then the next day I'm tired and have to do it all over again. And one of my big things is I have a problem with asking for help. And like I stated, that I do have my village, but sometimes it's hard to ask my said village to help me because I feel like, oh, I can get it done. I could do this. I could do it. Um, and sometimes I feel like if I'm a part of somebody's village, I need to be more open to asking, hey, do you need help? Or you good? Or do you need to talk? Not just only for me, like giving that out to other people too. But I'm feeling like sometimes my village may need to ask me if I need help so that I can give them the task that I need done. But that's just another subject. And one of the things that I would say that, prioritizing my self-care, focusing on taking care of everyone else, your kids, everyone else's needs, and then you neglect your own. So like throughout the whole day, you're working for somebody else, then you have to do all your duties for your children, and then by the time it's time for you're high and dry and you don't want to do nothing else. And that's been taking a toll on me, and just trying to adjust in how I should move forward is what's been helping a lot. Trying to find time for everything. You only got 24 hours in a day, and I feel like I need more hours in a day, and I know that's not realistic, but I wish that could really happen. And research has shown that common causes of burnout for many moms are these prime examples that I just listed. And it's important to recognize these factors and that they are impacting your mental health and well-being, and that we need to move forward and to address them. So the first step for me in overcoming mom burnout is to acknowledge that I need help. And as a mom, we can feel like we could do everything, but the truth is we can't do it all. Like we want to do it all the time, but we can't. And it's okay to ask for help. Okay, that's from friends, your family, and if you're close with your neighbors, maybe your neighbors, and professionals such as therapists or mentors. And here are some of the coping strategies that have helped for me in my time in my little mom burnout phase. Implementing that self-care. Like you are going to hear self-care, 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 self-care all the time from me, okay? Because that is very important. Like, and I'm not referring to it having to be like you buying things or stuff like that. Just taking time to yourself, just so you can recharge and relax, is essential to managing mom burnout. And that can include like exercising, reading, meditating, taking a bath, like those small things. Even if just going to window shop at Target or one of your favorite stores just to go through the aisles by yourself, like that's one of my little therapy things for me, okay? And I feel like now I am putting in every day at least 30 minutes to an hour to myself every day, whether it be something I just want to do, reading a couple of pages in my book, maybe working on some content, or just relaxing, watching my favorite TV show. Like I've been putting that in my daily routine, because even if you have a self-care day, like if you only have one of those per month, what are you doing the rest of the 29 to 30 days in the month? Because by the time you get to that day, you're going to be very exhausted and not want to do anything. And that just recently happened to me, like last weekend, going out with my friend, going with my girlfriend. We had plans or we was going to do stuff. And by the time it hit that weekend that I had the kid-free weekend, I didn't want to do nothing. I laid in the bed half of the day, went to sleep early because I just felt like I'm just exhausted. And then, like I said, by putting all of whatever you want to do on your self-care day, like the rest of the days, like it's just going to build up to where that self-care day is not going to be, it's not going to feel like you fulfilled it correctly, if that makes any sense. So just putting in that 30 minutes at least to yourself every day. And then by the time you get to that day that you pick out for yourself, or you might have self-care days at least once a week, and that's even better. But just when you get to that date, then you'll have like it all planned out to where, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get stuff done. And it's not going to feel so overwhelming, because sometimes my kid-free days feel overwhelming as well, even though I don't have my children. Like just trying to get stuff done that I need to get done, either it's around the house or things I want to go do, go hang out, whatever. Like it can all feel overwhelming because it's like a sprint, because it's like, okay, you got 48 hours to do all the things that you want to do. What do you want to do? So you're just running around everywhere, and then you still feel tired by the time you get your kids back. And this happens to me all the time. And so another coping strategy would be to set boundaries. And that is one thing that I'm really, really working on for myself. In previous episodes before, I've stated that I've had a hard time setting boundaries, and now I'm trying to work on those and better those boundaries for myself. And like just saying no sometimes, and not being obligated to things that may not need to be, like that are not that important, and commitments, like not, I am one that likes to bite off more than I can chew. And then after that, I feel bad, like if I have to start reevaluating, okay, what is important, what is not important. And if I have to like let somebody down, it really crushes me. Okay, like when I have to let somebody down and my friends and family know, like I'm really hurt, because I really want to be there for you on like important things that you got going on too. But just having that communication, that your needs and limitation to others, and then prioritize those tasks and activities are important. And then seeking that support is another coping strategy, like having that village, having your friends and family that you can count on, even if it's just trying to talk to someone throughout the week, like having girl talk or talking to, your parents. I mean, that's if you talk to your parents a lot. I do, which is funny. I just had a conversation with my dad. And I don't know if he's going to listen to it or if he's going to watch it on YouTube, because sometimes he watches it. But just had a conversation with him, like, why grandparents don't want to be grandparents anymore. And that's another episode for another day. But he was like, what you say, girl? And I just was like, I remember the days when I would usually be at my grandma's house, either my dad's mom or my mom's mom. And like, it just feels like it has to be scheduled in. Like I have to ask, hey, do you want your grandkids? Or, hey, would you like to get them? Instead of it's like, hey, I want to see my grandbabies. Can you bring them to me? And all he could say was, that was your mom's doing. So that was funny, that me telling him this, and that was my first time like asking him that, or just kind of like bringing it up to him. So I don't know if that just kind of like took him off guard or anything. Like, even though he is helpful with my children and like helping me, watch them for me or pick them up for me, but just wanted to know like what happened to grandparents being grandparents, and so just having that support, just having those conversations with people to relieve those feelings of isolation. Like for me, I feel isolated sometimes at home because I'm the only adult here, and I don't really want to stress out my kids, or they don't really need to know anything that I'm going through. But just not having anybody else in the household to like talk to understand like what I'm going through, the bills that got to be paid, the house that needs to be cleaned, the things that need to be done, all of that kind of stuff. And then adjusting Expectations is another good coping strategy for burnout, because if you have these unrealistic expectations that we place on ourselves, it's important to reassess them, because that's how we get overwhelmed, and then we start feeling bad about ourselves, and then that mom guilt comes in. Like, I think we have so many terms for moms. It's crazy. Do dads have any kind of terms? I don't know, but like that mom guilt comes in because you're, trying to overdo what you can, and then sometimes I feel like I have that inner guilt of myself, like trying to do more than I can for my kids, because like I said, I'm the only one that's in the household with them. Just trying to put everybody in sports, show up to people's activities at school, show up to field trips. Even when I'm tired as crap, I'm trying to show up to everything. And then just, reassess the expectations and adjust them if necessary, and focus on the progress rather than the perfection. Like, that is important. Like, I'm not saying like lower your expectations on things, but just adjust them to where you're not feeling bad about, like, if you have 30 things that you have on your to-do list today, but you only know realistically you can only get 15 of them done. Maybe point out which ones are more important to do today and delegate it that way. Preventing of the mom burnout and the coping strategies of mom burnout, they kind of correlate. It's the same kind of strategies, but like with preventing the mom burnout, like, you want to start doing these things, or try to start doing these things beforehand, so that you don't have to get out of being in a mom burnout. Like, I feel like if I was already implementing, more self-care to myself, setting those boundaries for myself, like, I wouldn't have to be trying to get out of this rut that I'm in, of this feeling very exhausted as a mother. So just the preventing of it is a very good strategy for you to not have to go through it, if that makes sense. It's essential for maintaining a healthy, happy life. It's important to take care of yourself and delegate those tasks to avoid those burnouts. So repeated information, basically the self-care routine, implementing that into your daily routine. And if you can, do a self-care day weekly if you can. Just to recharge your batteries. Because right now, I just feel like I just be running on 5% all the time. And I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like I'm at 100%. I'm giving my all. And then delegating those tasks, I felt like I realized that around my house, I was the only one really doing all the chores, when I have 3 children that can do chores. And not to say they have to do big, strenuous chores, but just giving out chores to everyone, so that I could feel like that everybody is a working part in this household. Just giving out, hey, Nala, you take care of the dog some days, I take care of the dog some days. You do dishes on Tuesday and Thursday, I do dishes on the rest of the week. Karan, you might be the trash man. Clean up your trash after yourself. Roman, we're still working on what he can actually do around here. Maybe pick up his toys, maybe clean up his little area that he's working on. But just delegating tasks to the household has really been helping out for me. And then also delegating some of the tasks that I need outside of the home. So like, if I have to do something, like asking my father or asking their father, hey, can you pick them up from school? Can you take them to school? So things like that definitely help. Because like I said, like, that was one of the things that was really one of my problems, was to like ask for the help. And I needed to communicate my needs more, because when I'm communicating now, I just feel like I'm more yelling, and I'm already stressed, and I really don't care anymore at this point. But I don't want to be like that. I want to be more of like, look, let me delegate these out so that I know that I don't have to worry about having to do everything. Because doing everything, because I really do 90% of everything, has really been taking a toll on me. That support system, having that in place, beforehand, having a community makes a difference. Joining a mom group. And even when I was with Karan's therapist, I was in a support group of other mothers or other parents that were experiencing like behaviors of their children. And that made me feel better, to where I'm not alone. Like, I'm not a bad mom. I'm not doing things that are making him be this way. And so that kind of helped. Like, they have like PowerPoints and suggestions and tips and activities that you can help and your kids on, being a better parent. And then just having that network so you don't feel alone and you feel more understood. And lastly, I feel like what was helpful for me was to change my mindset. Main things for 2023 have been to be more consistent in things in life, implementing more self-care in my life, having that routine, changing my mindset and not being so much in the negative mindset, and just being more growth, more in abundance mindset. And, not always focusing on the things that I'm not doing or what I may be failing at, but more on focusing on the things that I am doing well at and the progress that I am making, taking the time for the small achievements and appreciating those as well. It does make a difference when you change your mindset on things, because if you dwell in being in a negative, that's all it's going to bring around you. So just being more positive, it will bring you a better light into you. And so my takeaway from this episode of Mom Burnout is, if you're feeling burnout and overwhelmed as a mom, you're not alone, because I'm feeling that way too. With the right strategies, such as the implementing of the self-care into your daily routine, setting those boundaries, saying no when you need to say no, delegating those tasks when need be, and adjusting your expectations on things, and then seeking that support and creating your own village, I feel like we can overcome this mom burnout and start feeling like ourselves again. And I think that's it for today. And I really do appreciate everyone for listening, and thank you for listening to this today's episode, Mom Burnout. And then make sure you subscribe to the podcast channels wherever you're listening to them, which is Apple Podcasts, Spotify. There's probably other places that it's being streamed to, but those are my main ones: Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you watch the visuals, make sure you go check that out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let me know what you would like to see in the future. And then to make sure that you leave a review. If you're listening to this right now, before you head out, leave a review. Let me know what you're thinking so far about the podcast, and if there's any topic that you would like to know or like to talk about. And let's keep the conversation going. So the question for today's episode is, have you experienced mom burnout, and how have you overcome it? And so on the socials, you can find me on Instagram, Occasionally Social Podcast, TikTok, The Occasionally Social Pod, and on YouTube, The Occasionally Social Podcast. And like I said, if you want to check out the visuals, those will be on YouTube. And thank you so much for the positive feedback of everything so far. And stay tuned for more information about my summer social brunch for the podcast to celebrate the first season of the podcast. So I'm super excited. I've been talking to brands and getting them to sponsor. So I'm excited to talk about that in the next couple of episodes. So like I said, make sure you subscribe, you follow, you leave a review. Those help out so much when you leave a review. It gets other people to see the actual podcast and suggest it to other listeners. So yeah. And until next time, bye.